So tonight we have a slight change of plan, which I will explain why a little bit later on. However, I have managed to secure two extremely good guests. I'm really, really honoured to have them on the stream today. The first guy that I've got on, he's been building a vehicle, and I've been watching him nearly every week, and I am absolutely astonished by the quality of the build. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Chris Davies.
Good evening, all. How are we?
And we've got James Tubridy on. Hello, James Tubridy. So, my second guest tonight is somebody who does lots of builds, lots of varying different builds. So, basically, what I'm trying to say is no matter what your tastes are, he's pretty much got something for you. I present to you guys World of Mike.
Hello, everyone. How are we?
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well. Yourself?
So I've changed the view slightly. Normally I have this kind of view, but I think that kind of cuts people's side of their heads off. So I'm going to go with this view tonight, see how we get on. So the original plan was to proceed with the next stage of the Orrery, which I am going to confess I am struggling with at the moment. I'm having various things go wrong. I was going to sort of plod on a little bit tonight, but we need to get the next project started. The problem I've got is that I've planned some really good surprises for you, but we planned them based on us finishing the Orrery on time, roughly on time. So unfortunately, they have to go ahead. So we're going to start the tractor next week. And then what we'll do is any weeks where we finish something quite quickly, we'll then just use the end of the show just to do a little bit more on the Orrery. So obviously I was going to do it today. I've been having a clear up and I can't figure out where it is. I think we've ended up putting underneath a pile or something and I can't find it. So a change of a plan today. And what we're going to do is a lot of this stuff is new to me. So we're going to have a play with some electronics. I've been slowly buying obviously I've needed to buy the electronics before we actually present them on the show so that I can say, here they are. And I finally got the last component, which is my transmitter stroke receiver. And I've got the batteries and all sorts. So what we'll do is we'll hook everything up tonight and we'll have a little play. So it'll just look like bits and bobs and wires, but it'll all function as we want. So first thing I'm going to do, if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to go through the comments so we do a catch up so we don't leave anybody behind. So we've got Caldecott Bus Spotters, who was the first one to comment tonight. So hey Caldecott, very, very nice, respectful young lad that hangs around Newport and Caldecott. Basically, he's into spotting the buses, and he's made so many friends on the bus. Sometimes a lot of customers we hate because we don't hate them, but they get in our way. You know, they want to do this, that, and the other. But Caldecott, we all get on with them because he's a respectful young man, and that's all we really ask. So we've got Love Minis, who offers a load of support to my channel. Adrian Langley, again, someone who supports the channel. World of Mike has said hello in the comments, which is handy because now I don't have to advertise his channel. All you have to do is find his comment, just click on the three little dots beside his name and go to his channel if you want to check it out. Roger Kendall, how are you? So yeah, good evening to you. There is no Horlicks tonight. Horlicks are still sorting out some personal issues. Steve Graham is with us. Always nice to see Steve Graham and James Tubridy as well. Obviously, the world stopped when James pops on because, wow, he's arrived on time. That's our little running joke. He never arrives on time.
Yeah, like a bus is late today.
Yeah. Dave Day has popped on as well. Hi, Dave. You're always welcome on our and then obviously we've got the obligatory all the guests like to say hello to all the other guests. So who should we chat to first, Chris or World of Mike? Tossing the coin, heads or tails? Oh, it's heads. Sorry, Chris. It's a head. So, Mike,
Yes.
give us 10 seconds all about your channel.
Okay, so my channel is based on models. I do various different models, Root Master, like Bluetooth, Orrery, Terminators. I've just introduced like product reviews, so bringing that in slowly. I'm based on it. I sort of like do part works. It's based on
I've got a little confession to make,
what's
Mike.
the confession?
Well, once upon a time, you tried out Small, didn't you?
I did, and yeah.
Now, Horlicks has obviously tried out Small as well.
Yeah.
We have an email address that we use for the Root Master.
Right, okay.
And, the naughty little minx has obviously used that email because I spotted an email because obviously we share the email address, so any emails comes to my phone and his. And I got this email about unsubscribing from Small, and I thought, you know what? And I looked at it and I thought, do you know what? I'll give it a try.
How's it going with it?
And I don't know if I've got it to hand, but I actually sent off for 9 capsules for the £1. You just pay you get the capsules.
Right, yeah.
And I tried them and they're all right, aren't they? And
They are okay, yeah.
Yeah, and they just sent me the next 24 for £3.95, and it's not the cheapest around, but to have a direct debit go out of your account and then they just appear through the letterbox. So much. Yeah. And it's like you tell them how many washes you do a week, and then they decide when to send them. So I told them 2 washes a week, which is I probably should have put 3. So they're going to send me like £3.95 every 12 weeks, and yeah. But I did discover they're not very good on a 30-degree wash.
Exactly.
Yeah, because a little plasticky bit doesn't dissolve properly, and it's not after 9 o'clock, but I don't care. Basically, I was cleaning what I can only describe as snot out of the washing machine at the weekend, where it just the detergent had come out, but the actual outside of it was just. But on a boil wash, they are absolutely amazing. I haven't tried them on a 40-degree wash yet, but I tend to do. No, I think I have tried them on. Yeah, 40-degree I have tried, but it was lucky that it got stuck to the window because if it had gone in imagine it goes in one of my socks or something, and then obviously once it goes in the tumble dryer, that will go rock solid. And then I put my sock on in the morning. I've got this. Right. So Chris Davies, I mean, we don't need an introduction to you, Chris, because we know you quite well. But I'll still give you a little 10-second platform just to be fair.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to then, Chris, apart from breaking your glasses?
Nothing much really. There's somewhere over the fence.
I did spot, because you know me, nothing gets past me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he kind of looks like a sideways Jack Duckworth to me.
Everyone over the fair yesterday was only me.
Do you know what? I think all the hardest working people in the world have broken glasses, don't they?
What's that in the background?
It's what?
There's an echo in the background. You got some feedback.
I haven't noticed it, but it could be me. Could be any of us. So see how it goes, and we'll see if we pick up on it. Sometimes if two people speak at the same time, you get a bit of a because we all have slightly different lag times based on our speeds. Obviously, I've got super fast broadband. I'm so pleased for that. My broadband is running extremely slow at 150 megabits per second.
Yeah.
So I'm well chuffed with that. Right, so what I'm going to do then tonight is we'll have a little look through the spreadsheet. In fact, actually, I will give you the link for the spreadsheet. I have given the link before, but sorry, if you see me duck my head, it's because I've got things up on the other screen, which is below.
Snap. I've got a duck on.
Yeah, so I've given a link there, which is the Google Docs. This is a spreadsheet that we've downloaded and then we've adapted it. We've actually adapted it so much you can hardly recognize it from the original, but I will still give the original author credit because it's only really the formatting on some of it that we've changed. So the page that's more relevant tonight is a section called Parts List. And what I've actually done is I've totaled everything up so you can see the cost of the whole project. Now, £347.38 does sound an awful lot of money, but this will be completed over about 30 weeks, possibly more. So that works out about £11.50, 58 is that? I can't read from there. So essentially, it's a slightly expensive part work. And what you'll see on the left is you've got part numbers. Now, some of the parts have just got a number. So these LEDs, they're part 107. And usually these are the numbers that have been allocated by the original author. There are some that weren't given any numbers, like this shaft coupling. So I've made that number up. So anything that starts with a 9 has been made up. And then sometimes he's given the same part number to multiple parts. So I've added a letter. So you can see there battery is 105. I think the 105s have anything to do with the transmitter. Yeah, look, you've got the battery, the T plug, and the battery charger is A, B, and C. The next one is I've got the DC motors, and because they're £6.37 each, I felt it was too expensive to ask anyone to buy them both together when you need one right at the beginning of the project and one won't be used for about 6 months. So I've duplicated and just called it 100A and 100B. So I'll be making quite a few references to this, mainly to make sure that I haven't forgotten anything. And we've separated, you see here we've got the electronics, and I've also added a total of each. So you see that the electronics takes up a hefty amount, and most of that cost is actually the transmitter, which is 58, call it £59. The next thing we've got is the nuts and bolts, washers, anything like that. And although we've got quantities, that's the quantities that I'll call him Mackett projects, because that's who's created this project. And that's the total that he's quoted. But in most cases, I've bought 50. It's just one of those things that I can just chuck them in a little toolbox and I've got them for future use. Then we've got the main, the printed parts, and we've done a suggested color. So you see I've got some black bits there. I've got some silver parts there. We've got clear red parts there. And then I've got one here and I've just called it color. So if you're following along, you can actually print off using the color of your choice. What you'll find is, unless I change my mind and do a complete reprint, my color is going to be purple, because most people know I love purple. Where I've highlighted some of these are options. So 9B you see there is an optional part, and the reason it's an option is because you've got two types of badges, 9 and 9B. Down here you've got two different types of tire. So I've sort of fiddled with the costs a little bit so that it's not duplicating the costs. We've then got cabin, we've got the leveler, we've got the dumper trailer. If you download these files, they'll make a little bit more sense, but you got the file names. So as you see, there's a couple here that I haven't figured out the colors to use. And then you've got the trailer, the lifter, and the fertilizer. Now, the obvious problem we've got there is that's a hell of a lot of parts and parts to buy and parts to print. So what I've tried to do as best I can is divide all of these down. So you see this spreadsheet this tells you what to print and buy in week 1, and then you've got week 2, and it's over budget, I'll be honest with you, but it's the best I could do, I'm afraid. But as we go on, we will these costs will get reduced. So yeah, that's basically the parts. So I'm going to throw it over to you two lovely guys that have been very patient while I've been talking. Any questions you can think of? I put you on the spot there, didn't I, Chris? So, okay, what I'm going to do then is a semi-order, I'm actually going to go through some of the parts. And it's funny that you see the parts on Banggood and you think, oh, they look all right, or they look like they're going to do the job. It's not till you actually get them in your hand and you start playing with them that you're like, wow, they're awesome. So let me just change my screen. And I want to change to a view where we will get you all in. I think that's going to be, there you go. That's the magic one. So there's my messy worktop as always. And what I'd like to show you first is the transmitter. Now I've never really I've seen these, but I've not really used them much. Chris Campling says I'll go blind if I play with the parts too much. Yeah, probably will, but you know I'm itching to go. Obviously the main transmitters that I've seen are the ones with the 2 sticks. It pretty much works in the same way, except that the faster and slower stick is actually this trigger there, and the one that goes left and right is actually this one, so it is actually a steering wheel. Now I've gone for the 6-channel receiver. So I'll just please forgive me if I go too basic, but I want everybody of all knowledge levels to be able to follow. Each function on this requires 1 channel. So at the very, very basic, you need 2 channels. So channel 1 is the steering, I believe. And then channel 2 is the acceleration, the braking and the acceleration. So if you had a 2-channel receiver, I don't know if they do 2 channels, but all you'd be able to do with it is forwards, backwards, left and right. So this adds additional channels. So we've now got a button there, which I think is channel 4. And all that does is an on-off switch. You can reverse these. So this by default is on, and when you press it, it goes off. Obviously, you can reverse it so that by default it's off, and then you can press it to go on. So the best example I can think of is if you had a remote control police car, you could actually hook the sirens and the flashing lights up to the button. So when you wanted it to go woo, 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 and all the rest of it, you just press that button. And then when you let go, it will turn it off. You've got 2 3-position switches here. So you've got position 1, left, right, and then you've got 1 in the middle. So what I suspect this would do, whereas this you can do varying degrees, this one is, for example, if you use this for the steering, if you pressed it that way, it would go full lock left, and on the other side it would go full lock right, and then in the middle it would go straight. So you wouldn't have, that would be very impractical for steering, because you would have you couldn't turn just a little bit. And likewise, if you had the acceleration, you'd either have full braking, or full speed backwards, full speed forwards, and then stop. Whereas this gives you all these degrees. You see how I'm pulling it, like that's about half, and that's full, 3/4, a quarter. But obviously we can use these for different functions. So I'm thinking the trailer that's got these little ramps on the back, I might see if we can connect it to these, so that this would be fully up and this would be fully down. And then that would obviously trigger the motor and it would go zip. Or then again, it might be too fast. So these are all things we want to play with. Now, I made a great discovery. You'll love this little story. The batteries, it takes 6 AA batteries. So I went out shopping and I bought 6 batteries for it. It was only after I bought the batteries that I discovered this wonderful little feature, which if I can just find a screwdriver. I found my Orrery screwdriver again, and then I lost it again. It's right. So if you pull this out, it's a little bit difficult to do. You have to kind of do both sides. Pair of pliers to the rescue. Right. So this battery pack is actually connected in with that wire.
Yeah.
Which plugs out like this. So you've got this kind of connection, which, can I get that in? Which by coincidence is the exact same plug as the T plug. Now what you've got, the battery, this is a rechargeable. This is one of those, this is very similar to the cigarette lighter one. But it comes with this connector. So you need a T plug, and I suspect it's called T plug because of the way that the pins are. And you need this, and this converts to a more usable 2-pin socket. Once you plug this in, and these are stiff when they're new. Oh, actually, that's gone in fine. So now you can actually use this as the battery. If I can just, it does tell you on there, you can use between 4.8 volts and 15 volts. This is a 7.4 volt battery. And now I can plug this in. It does tell you which way round it goes. So be careful to put it in the correct way. And then that will, if you fold it up just the right way. I think this is one of those things. This lead there is to do with charging it. And then we put the lid on. Look at that. No need to go out and buy batteries. So you see that's now come on. And now you can actually see all of the 6 channels. So the trigger you can see is channel 2. The steering is channel 1. So this little button, yep, that is channel 4. Can you see it's on full on? And then it goes to full off. And then this little potentiometer on the side, that's channel 3. And then you've got one of the switches, that's channel 5. And this one is channel 6. So now we know how these work, we can then perhaps look at, think about what channels we're going to attach to what. So this is the, what did you miss, James? Just me waffling on about not an awful lot. I'm just going to bring my camera down a bit more. So this is the transmitter. No, this is the receiver. And you see you've got a little antenna. And obviously what's happening is this wants to pick this up. I'm not sure what the range is at the moment. But one of the guys on YouTube who reviewed it, he basically said that he was still in control of his radio car, even though it was out of sight. So at the moment, we know that if you can see the tractor, you can control it. Now, let's see if I can still remember how to do this. So if we take an ESC, and I'll use this one first because I know this one works. Now, the way an ESC works is ESC stands for Electronic Speed Controller. If anyone can jump in and save the day, by all means do. What you have is you have 3 plugs. So you might now recognize this. And then this plug is a female version of this one. So you see how these would connect together. You don't want to connect them together because it'll just loop it round, but it shows you the opposite terminals. So I need the battery. I've cocked up. Right. So I'm going to have to go back to the other battery. So this is the battery that I'm going to use. This will actually go inside the tractor. And then what this will do, make sure this is switched off. So this would be like your on-off switch. You know when you have a car and you switch it on and off. So make sure that's off. And then we'll plug this in. On this receiver, you've got like a pairing thing. You press this in and it pairs with the transmitter, which I've already done. So I'll skip that stage. And then what we need to do is we need to connect this to this. And this has three wires. One is a signal. It does tell me in the manual, and I can't find the manual. Oh, I'm bombing out, aren't I? Right, it's somewhere. But all I remember is that we need to plug the white wire closest to the label. And having checked the instructions, he's told us to put it into channel 2, which means that now the way I understand this works is you need to power one of these pins, and that will power the remaining 5. So we don't need one battery for each pin. So what we've now ended up with is this is now our main power supply for pin 2. So whatever we connect to this will go on, will come from pin 2. So for example, right, so we bought a few of these, and these are our main. Rather than soldering wires in, we've just got these connectors, and all they will do, you'll connect whatever you want on this one, and then we'll just plug it in, and away it goes. And there will be a plug on the tractor that will just be like this hanging out. So, you know, like when you attach a trailer to a car, you obviously, you hook the trailer up, and then you have that plug that goes in and attaches to the back of the car. That's basically, yeah, that's basically what this is. So if this might be attached to a trailer, so you'll put the trailer on, and then you'll plug that in, and then you'll unplug it, take the trailer away, put something else on, plug it in, and that means that the tractor is powering whatever attachment you've got to it. So bear with me one sec. I need to get some batteries, and I'm gonna hook all this up. So I'm gonna go with plain conventional batteries for this. So we plug this back in, and do you know what? I'm a little bit upset now because we have a problem in our house with people smoking in the bathrooms, and we have this strange plumbing that anything that goes in a bathroom actually ends up smelling in everybody's bathrooms. And let's just say someone smoking in their bathroom a substance that my boss would not approve of.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this I'm really happy with this transmitter because I've gone out and bought ordinary batteries. So these cost something like £3 for 10, something like that, which is nice, good, cheap batteries. If you want to invest a little bit more, you can buy rechargeable batteries. So obviously when they die, you can just charge them up. 6 is probably a lot for a conventional charger, because I noticed that most of the battery chargers have slots for 4. But Mike, didn't you get some batteries that were USB?
Yeah, like some USB ones, and then the top will come off.
Right.
Plug it into your laptop or whatever.
How much would it be any trouble to have plugged 6 of those into your computer or wherever you're charging them?
You wouldn't be able to.
Right. So could you charge
like two,
once?
like 2 on the laptop, USB.
Right. So would that require 6 USB sockets on your computer then?
Yep.
So you would need. All right. So now starting to get right. So if you bought yourself like a 6 or 10 slot USB extension port,
Yeah.
right? So you're sort of having to invest quite a lot of money. Mind you, saying that the battery charger for this isn't that cheap.
Mm.
So I will quickly show you the battery charger. This is the main bit that you'll see. There's obviously wires come off it, and the way you charge these is quite fun actually. You disconnect at the T plug, and this actually has a T plug as part of the battery charger, and then you plug this in, and this is, I believe, where you'll actually charge it. But this plug here goes into there, and I don't understand the principle, but it's a balancing. So I think it like makes sure that the cells are all charging evenly rather than charging one and one's empty. And what this will do, you set how much of a charge you want to give it, and then let's have a look. Used to have an auto shut off. The receiver lost the signal. That's a good idea, actually. You imagine having a remote control car racing down the road, and then it goes out of range, and suddenly you can't stop it. Yeah. So basically, how this works is as you charge it, it's giving it lots and lots of power, and then as the battery gets more and more full, it's actually reducing the charge until eventually there's no charge going at all. And then because these batteries are dangerous if they're overcharged, this actually has an alarm as soon as it's fully charged. Now, when I bought this battery, I don't know how much charge there was in the battery to start with, but it took 24 minutes to charge up fully. So shall we say an hour from completely dead?
Probably.
So I was quite happy with that. And then obviously once the alarm goes off, you disconnect it, and then there you've got a full battery. And then obviously what I would do is I would put them, say, in a box with all the other full ones, and then have another box with all the empty batteries. So you don't charge the ones that are already full. Yes.
What a milliamp hours is that one then?
Right. This is 2,200 milliamps.
Oh, yeah.
Which I've been told is 2.2 amps. This battery is displayed in milliamps, but the actual charger, it asks you in amps.
Okay.
So I sent a frantic message to Love Minnie's gone, oh, how many amps is there in a milliamp? And she probably laughed at me because it was such a basic question for someone who knew, but I honestly didn't know. So yeah, so what we'll do is we'll connect this up, and then for the first thing we'll test, I thought we'll do a motor. Everybody knows about motors. They know how they work and how they're supposed to work. And then what we'll do is we'll make sure the motor works by using my my variable power supply. And I like these motors because they've got a little red dot on them, which that tells me that's the positive. Obviously, if we put the power on the wrong way, then all it'll do is rotate in the opposite direction. So how much power do you think we should give that? Let's give that about 7, shall we? 7.4. So you can't see it, but I've set my variable power supply to 7.4, and we can see that that's rotating. Now, because it's a constant power supply, that will rotate at a constant speed. The only way I can change that speed is to change the voltage. So I've now put it down to 4.8 volts, and you can see it's a bit slower. And if we jack the speed back up to 7.4, we can see it speeds up.
And we've got Dave Mills on the chat as well, Patton, just to let you know.
Hi, Dave Milne, how are you? So yeah. I think I'll have a little play and I'll see how low I can get that. So that's turning. So that's about 2 volts. So you can see that's rotating very slowly. 1.5. 1 volt. That's gone really slow now on 1 volt. And that's 0.5 volt. So that's really slow. Let's go for it, shall we? 0.1 volt. Oh, right. The lowest I can get it is on 0.3 volts, and you can see that is moving, but that is really slow. So that's how I've just emulated the actual trigger. So we know that works. So now ordinarily what I would do is the power lead, I would solder that on. This has got quite small holes in it, so I'll just kind of push them in. So obviously what would happen is these would be attached and then we just plug it in. So right, so we have got transmitter with an ESC connected to it. We've got a power supply coming into the ESC, and then the power going out is on this lead here, which is going to connect to the motor. Like, got to be careful because these will literally be balanced in.
I've got it balanced in. A balanced diet, isn't it?
Pardon?
Balanced diet.
Well, these wires are actually quite short as well, so there isn't an awful lot to shove in. If I stripped a bit more plastic off, the job would be a lot easier. So let's switch on the ESC, and I can see there's a flashing red light there. Let's just turn my light out, and there's a flashing green light on there. So if I now hook up the receiver, and I'll just pull this up a little bit, so we can see I've got no power there. Obviously this is only connected to channel 2, which is this here. So theoretically, as soon as I pull this trigger, that should rotate, which it doesn't. Right, okay, I might have to do the old holding it trick. So like I say, once these are soldered on properly, right, there we go. So when I want to show you the trigger as well. So that's full, that's nothing. Can you see that okay, guys? Hello, Joshua, how are you? So that's about half. That's full. Now what should happen if I push this trigger, there we go, it now goes into reverse.
Oh, good.
Right, and then I pull it back to hit the brake, then I let go, and then I pull again, and now it goes forwards. I'm not sure if that's the correct way for it to work, but it works. I thought you had to push it forward as a brake and then push it forwards again to go backwards, but in practice that's not right. Because obviously the implication there is that you could be going forwards and then you could bang it into reverse. So that wouldn't be too good. But maybe I could reverse this so it has the opposite effect. But yeah, so that's basically how that's worked. Do you guys want to try out a servo? Yeah. So we know this motor works. We now know the basic principle of the ESC. So I will disconnect this. The reason being is if these wires should accidentally touch, obviously it's going to loop the circuit and it could damage the ESC. So obviously we've got number 2 in. Now Trying to remember which is which. Let's put the servo on channel 3, and that will then connect to the potentiometer. That will give us a lot more control, and whereas the switches are on and off. So this doesn't have the white wire, but it does have the orange wire and yellow orange wire, and I believe the orange wire is the same as the white. So hopefully, you know, I plugged the wrong servo in. I'll tell you why I plugged the wrong servo in. I had 2 servos set up for you. No, this was the right one. I actually put some blue tape on. That little dial bit at the top, you can't see that. So I put some tape on ready so that you could see it. So let's plug this one in. That's the wrong way round. And we'll know if it's the wrong way round because it won't work. Right. So this is our servo. And if I push the potentiometer that way, you see how it moves that way. And then if I rotate it the other way, it moves it that way.
Yeah.
So are we getting excited yet, World of Mike?
Yeah.
I think he's having a little sleep there, you know.
Yeah.
So that I'm happy with. Now, if we were going to connect that to 4 or 5 instead, 5 or 6, which one is 5? Right. So what I've done is I've changed it to 5, which is this switch. So now we only have 3 positions. So we have that position, there's the middle, and there's that position. So there's a lot less control, but it just goes straight to a position. So if we were using this for a ramp and we went like that, the ramp would just go straight up. And then likewise, if we use channel 4, which is this one, all we have to control it is a button. So there's only going to be 2 positions. So that's for the button pressed, that's for the button released. So what would we use that for, do you think?
Pin setting.
Something that we want temporarily.
Oh, like a lift going up and down.
I can think of an example. Right. What did I say that was? Channel 5. Channel 4. Right. So, right. This is probably quite a bad example, but it is an example. Let's say you have a 4x4 vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
Radio controlled vehicle. And you just have the motor controlling 2 wheels. Say the rear wheel, so you've got rear wheel drive, but you come across some difficult terrain, and then now you want 4-wheel drive, so perhaps you could hook a motor up to the front wheels, and that would be on this channel here, so that this tie-in is not working. What I was kind of hoping was I was going to hook these wires up in the same length of time it takes me to talk about that. Right. So now what happens is you've got this, say, hooked to the front wheel. When you press the button, nothing happens. All right, try that again. Okay, that was a bad idea then. So unless that let's try a different idea. Okay, ignore that then. So maybe the power has to come in on channel 2 then. So again, we've discovered we made a bit of a bodge up there, but it's worked out. So what I want to play with next, and that's pretty much it really. I want to play with the extension cables. I've just shown you. I'll stick with channel 4. The reason I'm going to stick with channel 4 is because then you see, like, this thing keeps coming off. Channel 4 is a push button, so for demo. Okay, right, that's the wrong way round. That's why. But hopefully, I haven't just blown it. Right. So yeah, with channel 4 being a push button, we can see that works, can't we? So from there, we can then hook other things up. So what's the next bit I wanted? Bear with me a sec, guys, because I've got some other cables I need to find out. So some of the main cables we've got this one, which is servo extension lead. And that is exactly what it says. It's just a wire to connect up. So what if we wanted this to be further away? What we would do is we would hook that into there, and this would go in instead of the servo. So there we go. So now we've got this extension cable, and then we've got the servo. So obviously all that's going to do is give us a longer reach. I'll just have to bring this. So if you're using this for the back of the tractor, and the front, and where you're positioning the ESC is further than that distance, then you'd use an extension cable, and that's all that is. So the next one, if I can find it.
What's that? Oh, freezing in now. Oh.
Are you cold, Chris?
I won't be now, yeah. Like this, I'm cold in here. Oof.
I must admit, actually, I'm actually rather lucky with the printers on the go. Yeah. Right. This I'm going to need, but I just want to explain it in a little bit. Right. Please don't tell me I've lost half the electronics. So, congratulations, Penny. Another well-made channel. Here we are. This is exactly what I want. Right. So, what we're actually going to be doing with the tractor, you're going to get excited now, you too. I can almost guarantee it. So, when this servo connector, we're not going to have one servo. We're actually going to have 2 servos. And so when we get the lifter, it's lifting up like this. So what we need, obviously, we can't connect 2 servos onto 2 different channels, because otherwise, to lift something up, we'd have to do this. And that's obviously impractical. We want them to work off the same switch. So the way we do that is with this little gadget. And this is a servo. This is exactly the same as a servo extension, but before it finishes extending, it actually splits it into 2.
Like a splitter sort of thing.
Yeah, it is a splitter. So what we would end up doing, shall we take this extension lead out? We've demonstrated that lead. And I don't have infinite amount of room on this desk. Right, so what we'll do is we'll plug the first plug in, which is a male port, and then that gives us 2 ports. So we plug one into one, which we're plugging orange to white, and that will go in like so. And I just by coincidence happen to have another servo, so that goes into this one. So if I can now restore these little bits of tape. I'm just shoving anything on. It's just obviously like that. You won't see the movement. So I need to just pop something over there. Right, so now we have 2 servos. So now when we press the one button, theoretically, 3, 2, 1, there you go. They both move. And I've just seen a smile on World of Mike's face, and I know he's quite hard to please. So
I'm very happy with
that's
it.
good. However, there's another problem.
What?
Because of the way that we're going to be positioning these on the tractor, I can't remember exactly how they're going to go, but they might go something like this. So I'm trying to hold these and use the transmitters. So obviously they'll go across each other. There we go. Can you see how they move in opposite ways?
Mm.
And that's a problem, because what that means is we want the lifter or whatever to move up like that. What they're actually going to do is that. So you're not going to lift anything, you're just going to tip it over. So that's where this comes in, and this is called a servo reverser. And as you can see, I promise you I've never tried this out. This is the first unsealing of the bag, and I don't even know if this is going to work. The only thing that worries me is it's got a circuit board on it. So circuit boards could go wrong. So you can see that if you take that out, you've basically got a servo extension lead. Yeah, if I hold that like that and that like that, can you see you've got a female end, and then you've got a male end and you've got a female end. Apart from the colors of the wires, there's no difference between these two. And what you've got there is, so you've obviously got the supply coming in. It's then going to switch the signals across so that whatever comes in the yellow wire is then going to go down the, or it's going to go opposite. So what we'll do, let's keep these like this. I'll put this in a position so you can see the servos. Right. Can we still see that, guys? Right. So it might even be better if I put them this way. Right. Right. So let's put them this way so you can see that they are spinning in opposite directions. Right. Let's grab one. Oh, I should have got masking tape at the ready, shouldn't I? Yeah, if I at least had an elastic band, that would help. Right. Okay, let's put them in there. That'll do the job. Right. So can we see those? Oh, a bit of tape's fallen off. I'm not doing very well here, am I, guys? Right. So, right. So they are moving in opposite directions. We can... no, they're not. They're moving in... Ah! This isn't going as well as I hoped, is it? Still, Chris, have we ever had a perfect stream?
Yeah.
No, we have not.
We have, because I do enjoy your streams.
We've always had an enjoyable stream. We just it hasn't necessarily gone to plan. There we go. Right. So, hey, that didn't work either, did it? Because one's just knocked the other one off. Right. There you go. So they are now moving in opposite directions. Well, they're actually moving the same way, but they're having a different effect. See if I can move. I think that's why it looks odd. I might have had it right the first time. Right, there we go. So oh, it's because we want, yeah, okay, sorry. Right. Right, there we go. So that's what we've got at the moment. So you can see that they are moving differently. So what we'll do is we will take this one out. It doesn't matter which, well, for the purpose of this, it doesn't matter which one it is. So what we'll do is we will plug the female into the male of the reverser, and then this one will instead go into the end here like so. And as soon as I plugged that in, I could see that servo switched. So if I move them like that, can you now see that one's going the opposite way?
Yeah.
So if we had them like this, yes. Can you see it? They're working together.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we have extended that lead if we need to. And then we've split it into two so that we can run two servos off the same signal. And then because we're turning one upside down, it's then moving the wrong way. So it's one of them and only one is being reversed. Obviously, if we wanted to reverse both of them, the easiest way is to do it on the transmitter. So you see that's going, this is going that way. If I now go, I've got to remember how to do this. There we go. So I can go into an option called reverse. And then what I can do is I can reverse. Well, actually, I've changed it to normal. And now, can you see that it's now going the opposite way? It's now coming this way instead. However, because this is all on the same channel, this one's been reversed as well. So if you find them both going the wrong way, you can either swap these around, or you can reverse the actual transmitter. And that's basically it, guys.
Yeah.
That's basically it. That's a little play with electronics. There's all sorts of other things that you can plug in. One thing I was thinking about having a play with is if you want to cool something down, you could put a little fan in, and that could be controlled by one of the channels. In this particular case, it's going to be controlled just because it's already plugged in. No, that's not going to work because so again, ignore me because I don't seem to know what I'm talking about here. That's unusual, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it could actually be this particular fan, isn't? Yeah, it could be because that's a 12-volt fan. So there's probably not enough power in there. But yeah, no, that is basically it, guys, I'm afraid. So nice short stream.
Yeah.
So we've got servos. Let's have a look through the list. So I'm afraid I'm not going to cut you out, actually, guys. Right. So let's look through the parts list. I'll see if there's anything in there that I might have missed out. That's parts list. All right. So we have got we've got the DC motors, we've got the differential, we've got the LEDs, we've got the ESCs, we've got the batteries, we've got the plugs, we've got servos, springs, bearings. Bearings tend to be for anything that moves.
Yeah.
So that this is a bearing. Let me just move to me. So I can't find the cursor. So this is a bearing. This is just a random one I've picked, but let's say you've got something in there that wants to rotate. Rather than just putting it in and it goes round and round, you can imagine it's going to create friction. So what you do is you create the smaller part of this size. So that's going to go in like that. And now what happens is that's going to move around much more freely because there's little ball bearings in there. and I can feel, you can't see it, but I can feel that there's so much less resistance there. These bearings being cheap, they're not going to spin freely, but I think a lot of that might be to do with the fact it's got new grease in it as well. I actually bought some bearings. In fact, these might actually be them. I bought some bearings from, I think these are actually the expensive ones. I bought some from a reputable dealer. Bearings Direct, I think they were called. Absolutely wonderful service, and I will give a long spiel about them on the actual stream when we come to do it. Yeah, so that's the bearings. If there's anything else, so we've got bearings, springs. Right, so the transmitter, obviously, I've shown you. Now, I have listed 3 different ones there. I've listed a 3, a 4, and a 6. We are recommending the 6 because I think you might get away with 4 channels, but I think 6 is the way to go. We've got some cabling. We've got JST connectors. JST connectors are that little wire. There we go. This is the JST connectors. And nope. And all these are just ready-made wires. Normally what I would do, you remember when I did the LEDs, and I would just get a black wire and a red wire, and I would solder one end where I need it, and then I'd solder this end, and then I might put connectors on the end. This is a little bit more expensive, but as you can see, it's already done, and all you need to do is just plug them in because all the connectors are already made. So if you're no good at soldering, these are a really good way to go. Excuse me. And they're actually not that expensive. Let me find you some. These are the ones that we are recommending. 10 pairs for £4. And I think a pack of 10 pairs will do you for the whole build. So there you go. So you actually get 20 wires. You see there, they're all your female ports, and there's your male ports. So you do get 20 pieces. Right. So JST connectors, steering rods. Steering rods, we're still trying to figure that one out. So I'll show you that when we come to it. Servo reversers, you've seen Y. Servo Y, you've seen servo extension cable. Shaft coupling. Basically what a shaft coupling is a screw thread. You know, when you've got the screw, you've got the shaft. If you cut the head of a screw off, that's basically a shaft coupling. But obviously, as you can imagine, in this particular case, this one's bigger. So this is an 8mm. And then we've got, sorry. That's threaded rod. Shaft coupling is like a funny, I'll go through it again, but it's basically, it's a way to attach the screw thread to something. Motor axle bearings, more servos, more cables, more motors, more yes. So that's it. I have gone through all the parts basically I need to go through. So what do you two guys think?
Yeah, cool. Right.
P40F20 is saying it would be best to only use one servo per operation. So P40, you saying that we shouldn't be splitting them? Because that is actually part of the instructions. There's a couple of places where we need to split the servo, so we've got to. I've got the wrong view, haven't I? That's the view we wanted, wasn't it? So I'd love to know various. When I use the word expert, I mean someone who knows more than me, but I'd love to know more experts' opinions on those. So, World of Mike,
yeah,
what do you think?
I love it. I love
I
what
thought
I'm seeing. I really do love what I'm seeing. I love it.
because I've seen a couple of your part work streams where you've gone, oh, we've got electronics. I love electronics.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah. So I think you're going to love this then, Mike. I think you will. Because I say what we've been trying to do is find, because obviously part works are great, but part works only come out when the publisher decides they're coming out, and they're done for the length of time that the publisher decides. If you are even more wealthier than I am, you could do all of this in a week. So you could go out and buy all of the parts, print them all off, and get them done, and that's your choice. You can do it this week, next year, or whatever. And that's what we've tried to do is obviously things like the Routemaster. That's really difficult to get issue 1 now, isn't it? If at all. The U-boat, impossible. You can't get the U-boat. You can't get the Mallards. So at least with what we're trying to do is create, I'll call it a part work. So if someone was watching this video in 10 years' time, they could actually still follow it. And that's the whole idea. Obviously, if they messaged me, I'll go, cool, bloody hell, I forgot all about that. Yeah, sitting on the shelf. So that's always been our plan. So Love Mini says every live stream is perfect. You would say that, wouldn't you? Because you are a good friend. And Dave Say agrees. Matt, you don't agree.
No, I do.
You do. I mean, I did say at the beginning, actually, before we streamed, I said, don't know how it's going to go, but we just kind of, we just kind of make it up as we go along, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
So Matthew Borum is saying he has Routemaster issues 6 to 10 plus a folder in his basket on eBay. And he's also saying, Mike, is that you?
Sure is.
It sure is, in the flesh. Look at that. We've got Mike on the channel. So, Mike, inside scoops. Give us inside scoops. What are you up to that you can tell us?
What am I up to? What's in building?
Yeah. Unless you really want to go into your private life.
No, I've just been pre-recording a lot of stuff to release, really.
Yeah.
So, not much.
So, how are you finding the companies? I mean, I'm really struggling with at the moment.
It's the parts of Routemaster, but it's just replenished the stock.
Yeah.
They haven't always stopped. It's hit and miss for that at the moment.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm trying to subscribe to Routemaster for a viewer.
Yeah.
The basic story is that he's having to buy. He's in America. He wants to buy the Routemaster. Obviously, he can't get Hachette to send the issues to America, so he's buying them off, I think, eBay.
Yeah.
And it's costing him about 50 quid an issue. Right. I know he's way charging him too much. And I said, well, that's no good. I said, if you give me a little bit of money to cover postage, and then you regularly send me 36 quid a month, I'll do an extra subscription. And then obviously we know how much the issues are going to cost every month. What we're not sure about is the postage, because you might get 4 really heavy issues. You might get 4 really light issues. So then obviously you reimburse me the postage costs. So I subscribed from issue 75, I think.
Yeah.
And I got all the welcome to Routemaster, blah, blah, blah. You'll get your subscriber number within 3 days, and you'll get your first delivery within 28. Well, obviously issue 75, we're up to, is it 80? What are we up to, guys? 82? Yeah. So it's about that. So we're currently about 7 weeks behind. So we got, I give them a call and I said, I've not received anything. I've not got my subscriber number. And they said, oh, we've not got any details. So I said, okay, can I assume it's been lost and I'll just start a new subscription? And they said, yeah, good idea. So I set up the new subscription again, and it's been must be 3 or 4 weeks since I set the second one up. And I messaged them. I said, where is it? I've got no number, no nothing. And they send me a message back saying, oh, we've just dispatched issues, whatever, to 82 to you. And I'm like, no, that's my number one subscription. That's my subscription. Yeah. So I've set a third one up, but I've not, I mean, it's only been about 2 or 3 days, but I've not heard anything. So I wonder if their subscription department still hasn't pulled a finger out.
Well, they're supposed to be operating the site, aren't they?
I don't know. I've got to be honest with you. I don't look at harsh. People come to me and they say, oh, well, you know, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I don't even look at my online account. Because I use Microsoft Money.
Right, okay.
And it has all my budgets and everything in, and I can see what's happening in the next 30 days. So obviously, one of the transactions that I can see that's always coming up is the Routemaster payment. I know when the direct debit is due. I know when I will receive the issues in relation to when I usually get the issues about a week before the direct debit goes out. So working it round in a circle, the next issues of Routemaster should be dispatched about 2 weeks after the last direct debit, which means they arrive about a week and a half later, and then about a week after that, the next direct debit goes out. So that's how the circle works, and it's just not well at the moment. It's not going in sync, but because I know that system, you know, I've been doing it long enough. I don't need to go online and check my orders, but I'm spending a lot of time on their website because I'm trying to sort this Routemaster build out. And I've got to be honest with you, I wish Routemaster was done by somebody else.
Really?
Yeah, I just wish Model Space are an absolute dream to work with, which this is going to be a nice little tie-in with Love Minis. I've ordered the Build-A-Jag. I'll just fill you in, Mike. What happens is I'm in Newport. Chris Davies is in Swansea. As you can probably tell from his curtain, he's in Swansea. Well, he's definitely a Swansea fan anyway. So it's about an hour away. And you know, sometimes he has a little bit of a struggle with the bus. So on a regular basis, I go round and I have a couple of days round his. And what we've decided to do is we'll do the Jaguar together. So what I've done is I've ordered the Build-A-Jag from Model Space, but I've put my dispatch address at Chris Davies. So I've not seen it, but I've got one box, and it's at Chris's at the moment. Now I am way overdue on pack number 2, and this is the first problem. Second problem. The first problem I had with Model Space was over a payment. Now, I think what happened was I lost my debit card, and I pay Model Space through PayPal.
Yeah.
So when I got my new debit card, obviously what I did is I'd forgotten to change it. So what they did was they tried to take the payment, and obviously that payment bounced because my debit card had been stopped. And that was why I had a little bit of a struggle with the ship, because I thought the payment had gone through, and about a week later the ship never arrived, and they said, no, you haven't paid for it. And then I kind of realized what happened. So I set the new direct debit, the new debit card on PayPal, but I also set my bank account up as well as a backup payment. So now what will happen if I cancel my debit card, then the payments will revert to bank. Yeah, don't like it that way. I really don't, because the payment takes so long to come out. If they take my debit card, it shows instantly on my bank statement as a payment pending. Jason, if you're watching, you just sent me a message. Yes is the answer. That'll make sense a bit later on. I thought, right, he's just sent me a message on Facebook saying, do I still want him on?
Yeah.
Jason, we always want you on. We absolutely love you, Jason. Have you seen Jason's videos, World of Mike?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, aren't they great? His imagination, and he goes there and he goes, oh, well, I'm not very good at this this scenario thing and modding thing. No, you're the best one out of us all, Fleetwood. But that's why he's so good. He's not one of these that go, oh, yeah, I'm bloody brilliant. Yeah, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously I had that payment with the ship, which I sorted out, which I suppose it wouldn't be unfair to say it was my fault or a problem my end. So I don't really count that as a problem. But yeah, obviously, so I haven't received pack 2 of the Jaguar. So I contacted them the other day, and now I've been having a few issues at work, and I'm having these issues with Harshette. So I will confess, the email that I wrote to Model Space was a little bit of a case of, where is my pack? Yeah. And they yeah, I'm that's how I type when I'm angry. Where is it? Is it worth having? Maybe I've been conned. I'm a bit of a keyboard warrior when I'm angry. And they sent back a lovely email. It made me feel so guilty. And they said, oh, we're ever so sorry. The packs, they're actually out of stock, which might have been an excuse, because I do think they forgot, because they sent me this email to say, we're ever so sorry, it's been out of stock. Yeah. And then the very next day, the payment gets taken out of my bank account. Ooh. So but Model Space have been so good to me in the past, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So pack 2 is on the way. I have emailed them back to say, will you be catching up with the original schedule? And can you confirm that? Because I'm now 1 month behind Chris on the Jaguar. So I'd like at some point to make an additional payment so that I can have an additional pack sent, which is what I was thinking about doing with the Millennium Falcon and the Harley. They should be finished round about March. And it's so close to the end now, I'm getting a bit fed up of waiting for them. So I just want to chuck extra money and get the collection finished. So
can you not buy the full pack?
Do you know what?
You can
if I'd have known when we got halfway through the Harley,
yeah.
So there's still 12 packs to go at like 30 quid a month. They actually reduced the price of the full build to about 300 something pounds, and I'm like, no. But it would have been a little bit more expensive for me to cancel the build and buy the full pack.
Okay.
But if you remember, when I started the Harley, you got me a code, didn't you, for £5 every month?
Like £5 a month or something.
It was something like 5 quid. Yeah. And I said, and I contacted them and I said, can I apply this code? And they said, no, not now it started. So I went, well, sod it. I said, I've paid 10 quid for pack 1, cancel the pack, and then I set up a new subscription with the code.
Yeah, with the code.
So from month 3 onwards, in month 2, I broke even, and now I've saved probably about 100 quid so far. So, but yeah, when it went half price, I had like 12 packs to go at 31 quid. So that's what, 132 pounds? No, 320 quid to go. And they reduced the price to something like 330 quid or something like that. So I just thought, if I'd have been about 6 months behind, further back, then I would have cancelled that and bought that cash. But I just thought, if only I'd have waited a year and then started the Harley.
Yeah.
But the Harley, it's actually quite... Are you actually still doing the Harley?
I've suspended it.
You've suspended, so you are planning on doing it.
My main focus at the moment is getting the Root Master done because it's so far behind. I really want to crack on that.
Yeah, because my thoughts of the Harley is it is brilliant, but it's frustrating because you get 3 or 4 parts every month.
Yeah, I think like went on for like 4 months in, it was like hardly nothing to build. We just were stocking up much, you know?
Yeah, there was nothing to build for about 8 months. Yeah, this is it. I mean, we're now at the point, I'm going into show off mode now. We're still getting a case of we're getting a case of like, here's 2 parts, put them to one side. This part will build. So what we've got now, it is getting there, but we've now got the front handlebars.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I love it. We haven't got the wheel on yet. We've put the fuel tank together with a little protector on it. So that's nice. We've still got all these little parts. We're starting to put, this is the rear, it goes on the back of the bike. Like a chain guardy thing. This I'm quite excited about because this to me looks like a speaker. Yeah, your eyes just went then, didn't they? This is the rear wheel, and that is heavy.
Is that a big one then? Chunky one, I mean.
And then we've got the. I'm more of an engine buff on motorbike. I'm not an engine person, but on motorbikes, because I've ridden a lot of V twins. So I personally think that is absolutely amazing.
Wow.
This on its own weighs a ton. This is fairly heavy. This wheel is heavy. And even the fuel tank is quite heavy. So, and we've still got probably half the bike to assemble. We've still got a lot of pieces, but although we are starting to bring, that was lucky. I just dropped the box onto my chest. But yeah, let me show you this. That's one box. That's the box of assemble pieces. This box is heavy. This is the box of unassembled pieces. These are the ones where they go, oh, look at the piece, admire it, and then stick it in a box. In a box. So there's a mud guard. There's a piece of frame. There's another piece of framework. I do like that touch.
Yeah.
This is one of every screw that you'll use in the build labeled. And then they give you this free screw box, which I actually don't use. I put the screws into pill boxes, and then more parts, a nice little display stand for it. So it'll sit on top of that. But it's not assembled enough to use it. And it's just loads of parts. But what we've actually got is loads of beautiful high quality parts. And you look at them and you go, yeah, when this is assembled, this is going to look amazing. So they're amazing enough for you to not cancel, but it's frustrating enough that you're considering cancelling it, if that makes sense. So, right, on Terminate, right, I'm just going to go back through the chat for a bit. So Fleetwood J will be on in 5 minutes. Ish. Anyone else here doing Bismarck and Terminator? So Matthew Borum, we have Mike on, and he is doing both, I believe. So Mike, Bismarck.
Bismarck, I've left. I'm still building it, but I took a break from it for the minute.
Is it as amazing as it looks?
I think so.
Right, because I know you've had a couple of products with.
I think it's brilliant at the moment.
Right, and the Terminator. I'm helping.
It starts off and then it widens up. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, but I suppose it's a different dynamic to the bus, isn't it? Because bus, we're starting at the bottom and we're working up. The Bismarck is long and thin by comparison. So the logical thing is start from one end and work it across like making a baguette sandwich, really, isn't it? When you're going to start this end and work across. So, I like my analogies. So, I just realized. Oh, he has got it. So I just thought we're waiting for Jason, and I didn't think I actually give him the link. So yeah, I've been working with a Terminator with Adrian. I've been helping with his streams, and I just think it's absolutely amazing. I mean, he's now completed the hand. So has he completed the head? I'm not sure.
Is it a little bit behind on the channel at the moment?
But I mean, one of the things that struck me is when we started the head, I'm looking at it and I'm going, it's not really that big. But then as you start to add the bits to it, it is big, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But you see now, Dave says there's lots of tiny pieces on the Bismarck. I didn't. Obviously, I have a budget. I can't. I'd love to do every single build, but because of my budget, I have to be selective. World War II German battleships isn't really high up on my list of things I've got to do. So, I've tried to find more of a link, but I've got to be honest with you. All those tiny pieces on the Bismarck, they excite me. I'm almost regretting not doing the Bismarck. But then I could say that about a lot of the builds, really, couldn't I? But I mean now World of Wayne, he's got the victory, isn't he? I don't know where he got that from.
Just not at the up, isn't he?
Yeah. But because I started the victory years ago when it first came out, and I've just had a message from someone. Okay. Adrian's just I can't show you on the stream, but Adrian's just sent me a picture of the head, and it looks like we've just got the back bit to go. But essentially we've got the full shape of the head. So Dave Milner saying that the Terminator's name moved to the left, or appears to have moved to the left shoulder. I assume we're talking about the Terminator there, because I didn't think the Bismarck had a left shoulder. But yeah, no, there's some. I think we got to a point where we were sort of saying, well, there's nothing exciting coming out, and then all of a sudden the Bismarck and the Terminator came out, and now we've got exciting times on part. Well, more exciting times.
I think they want to break away from doing vehicles. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah. I mean, my understanding is because they tried to bring them out sort of January time, but last January they didn't bring anything out. I don't know why. I heard a rumor that the Apollo 11 was coming out, but they had licensing problems.
That's been tried 2 times with 2 different publishers, isn't it?
Really? But I think they missed the boat on that now, because it isn't this year the anniversary of the landing or something.
It was, yeah. I think it was a couple of months ago.
I think they missed the boat on that one. Okay. Obviously, when they bring things like Harry Potter out, that's always going to be a money earner for them, because they've got such a fan base of it.
It's like Marvel, isn't it? That's the same.
Yeah. The big question I have is, have I missed the boat on the Game of Thrones ones? Because that's now finished. But 2 builds that I think are quite exciting that are going to be coming out.
Yeah.
And I think you know about both of them, because I did actually get one from you. The first one is the Ecto 1, which I believe is coming out at the end of this year.
December, I think it is.
Yeah. I'm actually going to call that January 2020.
Okay.
I've got a feeling it will come out January. There will be problems, and January is a common release date. And we're kind of penciling that in as a, although there'll be an overlap, we're penciling that in as a replacement for the Route Master when it finishes, because Wednesday's such an important event now for a few of us, especially me. You know, it's when I go into work, sometimes they ask me to work late, and they accept that I can't work late on a Wednesday because Wednesday's so important. And sometimes I have to work late. It's a case of, can you work late tonight, Penny? No, sorry, it's Wednesday. And they'll go, well, can you work tomorrow late instead? And I'm like, yeah, if you let me go home early today, I'll work late tomorrow. And that's, even work acknowledges that it's important. So hopefully the Ecto 1 will take over from that. And that was a major thing for me. That's got a link. And the other one, like I said, I got it from you, Iron Man.
Yeah,
That's
Star at the moment, so
yeah.
I'm not.
I can't see it being as good as Terminator.
No.
I can see it being great, but it's not as detailed in the same way the Terminator is. But I will enjoy it. And there's another build that I keep looking at. It's an old build. It's on the Model Space one.
Yeah.
And that's 1:2 scale samurai armor.
Oh.
I've got no link with it. There's no connection, but I keep seeing it and I just keep going, yeah, that looks all right. So I think I'm hoping that they'll have a half price offer one day and then I'll go, yes, I'll grab it. But I am resisting buying it. So but yeah, I think there's going to be some good builds. And of course they'll probably chuck in a build that we just aren't expecting, won't they? But I think there's going to be a lot of car builds coming out.
You reckon?
Yeah, if you look at the Diecast Club from Eagle Moss,
yeah,
they've got a lot of cars on. They've got about 6 or 8 cars on there that you can subscribe for interest, but they're not actually being released. And I'm not into the modern supercars. I'm sorry if I offend anyone by saying that. It's just really not my thing. But they've got a couple of little. I'll see if I can find it. It's very ad hoc and you know, but die cast. Is it Eagle Moss? Isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
See how good I am at googling. Diecast Club Garage. There we go. I'm sure that's it. Yep, this is it. Right. So if I do a screen share, you may not see this very well, and I do apologize. Right. So we've got the Diecast Club Garage. So what you have is the first one is Build a DeLorean. And they seem to have set this up as a set of 1 to 8 scale. Now, obviously, this is already out. In fact, this is finished. But it looks like you can actually start from the beginning. Now, my understanding of this is that most people are saying, if I'd have known how bad it was, I wouldn't have started. Would you agree with that, Mike?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I will give that one a miss. The next one is, if this is, I'm struggling to read it. If it's the one I think it is, it's one that I wouldn't mind doing because this interests me. This is the Dacia. Look at that.
Ooh.
That's just amazing. I love that. But it's an old car, you see. Dacia 1300. But as you can see there, we'll let you know when the product becomes available on the market. But that is something that I would like. Then there is whichever the third one is. I've got a feeling this is the one that you are starting. This looks like the James Bond DB5. Oh, let me just bring in Fleetwood J if we've got him. So Fleetwood J, hello, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
We're currently, yeah. What we've done is we've gone through all the electronics. We've had a little play. I thought you'd be interested because obviously you're interested in doing the tractor. So we're just nothing super exciting, to be honest with you, but you know, I've not seen these electronics work in these ways before. So I thought it might just be fun to give it a go. But we're currently going through the Eagle Moss die car because of the thingy collection-y thing, whatever it's called.
That Dacia does look nice, actually.
Yeah, but that's a nice classic, isn't it?
I've got the Renault 4 coming.
Oh, beautiful! Is that the ugly vanny type one?
Yes.
Yes. It's so ugly, it actually becomes beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah. Renault 4L.
Yeah. So, is this the one you're going for, Mike? The DB5?
Yeah, but I'm having a lot of problems with it.
Oh no!
For them sending it out and all
that. Is that because it's Eagle Moss or?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I remember this in one of the films. So yeah, that's something that I'm semi-interested in.
I built the original one for that.
Yeah. Is this the one that at one point you could only get it complete for like £1,000 or £2,000?
I paid $6.99 an issue when it first came out.
Oh, beautiful! Right. Let's see what we've got next. Oh, this isn't what I think it is, but this is going to be a nice one. Look at that, Mercedes-Benz 300i Gullwing. No, that's not a bad little car, is it?
No, it's quite nice.
See if I can get some better pictures of it. Look at that. You were stylish if you had one of those in the days. Le Mans 1952 winner.
That's like a James Bond car.
Not as good as a Jaguar, though, is it, Chris?
That's still cool, yeah. The Jag's nice as well.
Matthew Baum's just reminded us that the DeLorean's been extended with the bonnet machinery in the railway tracks. Mike, do you think that's worth it, the extension?
I suppose it is if you want all three versions of the film.
Yeah.
Do you think it should have stopped where it did?
All right, so next one we've got on the list is the Nissan Fairlady. Now I have driven this on Forza on the Xbox,
Yeah.
and if it's accurate, it's a very nice car to drive. Look at the detailing on that engine. But these are what I call real cars. Because you had to drive them, didn't you? Not like this all modern stuff. And that's beautiful, isn't it? Let's see what else they've got. If I can find them. I'm really struggling because I can't see the screen this that well. Another Nissan Fairlady. You've got the GTR. No, this is the one that I am making sure I buy. I really seriously want this one. The Simca 1000. This is where all the memories are for me, because my auntie had one of these. She had it in a darker blue, and it had those horrible plastic seats, and she'd like take us to the beach, and we'd get in the back of the car, and that car was warmed up while we were on the beach, and we would we would just lightly touch those seats with our bare skin and it would just burn and rip it off. That's one of the funniest memories I have. And also her dog, she tried so hard to keep it out of a muddy puddle. And when I say puddle, I mean the puddle nearly the size of a lake. And as soon as this dog saw it, she just went straight in it. And then when we got back, as soon as she opened the car door, dog straight in the back of the car. But that's
a nice one, the skimmer.
Yeah. There we go. I've got to have that. I know it's really basic and it won't have many features because the model will probably have more features than the actual real life car. It was that basic. But it's got suspension, it's got opening doors. They all have headlights and brake lights these days, don't they? And movable front wheels. 47 centimeters. What's that in real life? That's about that long. So it's not very little, is it?
No.
Yeah, about that long.
Yeah.
About 2 heads, 2.5 heads. 1, 2. This is my science. This is how I measure, by the way. When I'm looking if can I get that chest of drawers over there? Yeah, right. Okay, well, it's that wide. Oh, that's right. That wide. And then as you move, your hands get closer together. Yep, it'll fit in there, no problems. And then when you actually move it, you find that you've underestimated it by about 3 feet. So do any of those? Do you fancy any of those, World of Mike?
Maybe a couple of them.
Yeah. Are you more of a new car? Because obviously I didn't show the GTR, but I know you're building the GTR because I watched one of your videos today. How are you? I know it's early days, but how are you finding that?
I think the quality is great.
Yeah.
I think it's much better quality. I mean, it's hard to say at the early stage, but it's okay.
Yeah. Because I'm sorry, it doesn't thrill me. I quite like the Skyline. Obviously there isn't a model Skyline, but my landlord had a Skyline. I know nothing about cars. All I know is what I've been told from him. But I know the Nissan Skyline R32 4-wheel drive, imported from Japan, is a really good car. Why? I don't know, but apparently it's the fastest one, and in the 4-wheel drive it's got better grip or something. But Japanese cars, they do like rear wheel drive front engined because they like to drift them. If they are bringing that car out, they should bring a Lada Samara out. Yes,
they have
Dave.
done in Russia.
Oh, you just beat me to that one, Fleetwood. Yeah. That actually looks quite amazing, doesn't it? That Lada.
Yeah.
But to me, those old cars are special. They're the ones that I don't think we would have the modern cars without those older cars. Everything is a progression, isn't it? Dave Say is saying 47 centimeters, 18.5 inches. Steve Graham likes the Nissan Fairlady. Yeah, I like that. Although it is a bit Japanese,
Yeah.
I do like the big American muscle cars. So what about you, Chris? If money wasn't an object, would any of those tickle your fancy?
If it's a Lamborghini, I'll go that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's you, isn't it? Big, red, and powerful.
Yeah, petrol engine.
Yeah. What about you, Fleetwood?
No. Apart from the Dacia, I do like the Skoda that's been floating around on the internet.
Yeah.
Skoda 100. That's really nice. And that's
So
why
you're an old basic car man, then, are you?
Yeah.
Because do you remember when Ladas were the laughing stock? And
so
now
Skodas, weren't they?
Skodas, yeah. Skodas are really respectable cars now, aren't they?
Yeah.
In fact, there was a time when the police used to use Skodas. Now, all right, they were extremely heavily modified, but basically, if you're driving around in a BMW and you're being chased by a cop in a Skoda, you might as well just pull over because he's going to get you.
I put a link in the description for the Renault 4.
Right. So that's that one there earlier on. Obviously, it's in the description. So I recognise that name there, Altea, is it?
Yeah, it's
So
D'Agostini.
Right. Okay, that's where I recognise it from. Yeah, they do use taxis. A lot. They're now going over to Prius now, aren't they, for taxis? In fact, I've not very rare. I've seen a Prius that isn't a taxi. So if I'm driving my bus and there's a Prius in front of me, I'm very tempted to just forget to apply my brakes. But it's okay because the back of a Prius is, I don't know if you know, is actually the same shape as the dent that it would make if a bus was to hit it from behind. So in fact, it probably improves the shape. No, Prius are all right. But yeah, Dave Milner's mentioned the Escort Mark 1 Mexico. The Escort Mark 1 is my favorite car, that and the Morris Minor.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they had the Escort Mark 1, I would. I'm surprised they haven't come up with a Mini.
Yeah.
That is such an iconic vehicle. But
or even the Moggy Traveller. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Do a bit of woodwork as well as metal work for that.
Oh, you'd love that, wouldn't you, Fleetwood?
Yeah.
So we were just saying before you came on stream, we were kind of taking the mickey out of you, going, yeah, I'm not very good at this diorama stuff. And we're like, yeah, shit. So what have you been up to then, Fleetwood?
Not a lot, really. I mean, it was Sean's grand's birthday the other day. She was 95, so we've just been doing that. And that's about it, really. Just sort of sorting out Sean here. I should be back to mine in about 2-3 weeks' time. So
yeah. So what do you go over to Sean's for like weeks, and then do you come home for short term, and then you go back for weeks?
Yeah, we have to. It depends on who's got most appointments when and where. Do you know what I mean? So
right, okay. All right, so you pretty much sort her life out, and then you get your own life sorted out, and then hers needs sorting out, and then you're in desperate need of. Right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But isn't it? I was just thinking actually as I asked you that, and you said not a lot, and I thought, isn't it funny that we'll quite often, all of us will have not a lot on, and then all of a sudden, a couple of days later, you've got like, oh my God, I've got so much to show you, this, and this, and all of a sudden we've just got everything. Mr. Bean's Mini, that's got to be the one, hasn't it? If you're going to do a Mini, do Mr. Bean's Mini. And the 3-wheeler van from Only Fools and Horses.
Nice Cooper Mini would do. Mark 1.
But well, I don't know. Would if you did a 3-wheeler, would it have to be the Robin Reliant, or would it have to be the Robin Reliant van from Only Fools and Horses? But they would be a good tie-in, because if you remember, you had that Robin Reliant was like the enemy in Mr. Bean. Remember, he always used to come flying around the corner and it turned. But apparently the Robin Reliants did actually turn. If you turn them too sharp, they would actually topple over.
Roll, yeah.
Oh, Harshette did the 1:8 scale Mini. Do you know what? Now you mention that.
I haven't seen that one.
If I remember rightly, it didn't go down too well because of the scale. People don't like 1:8 scale vehicles. I don't know why.
Yeah. Have you seen a guy on the internet called Hubnot? He's actually brilliant. He does all the classic old cars, and he's doing a Invacar, the old Invalid carriage, you know, the blue plastic.
Really? I remember those. Yeah. And they were that horrible sort of sky blue, but it wasn't sky blue.
Yeah.
Oh,
obviously they were all scrapped by the government in 2003. And so he's now brought one back out on the road, and he's driving it around and he took it down the M4 past you the other day near Newport,
Really?
going somewhere, and I just thought, you're mad. No, yeah.
Did you
He's
see the
worth
guy?
watching.
Did you see the guy that converted his car to you know those little trike cars that you can get? Is it that red car with the yellow roof? Most kids had them when they were young, but he's actually converted his car to a real life working one. That was quite funny. I'll see if I can find you all a video. So, Mike, what would you like to see as a part work then? Forget what's coming and forget what's out there.
C3PO.
C3PO. Do you know what? I've heard that mentioned a few times, and that's got to be done, isn't it? You know, you've just done a one. Is it one?
R2. We've got the X-wings. We need that to finish it.
Yeah, got to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
My only worry now is that Star Wars is kind of moving into the newer Star Wars. So, you know, R2-D2 has always been a very popular thing, but BB-8 is coming in as a lot more. But BB-8's a lot more complicated. It's simpler, but it's a lot more complicated because of this head. The head needs to attach, but at the same time, it needs to rotate. So it needs this little roller in it. It's easily done, and yeah, I mean, you can make. I do plan on making a 3D printed version of one of these, full size, but I've just got quite a lot on at the moment. But he's horrible to control because he wants to go in 58 different directions at once, because there's all weights and counterweights in there. So when he goes zooming off, he's just whoa. And so hard to control, but this is my little baby, and he moans every time I pick him up.
What's it telling him to F off, is it?
Pardon?
Is it telling him to use it?
Well, I've got him on interact with human mode, so he sits there, and every now and again he makes a noise just to remind me that he's alive, and but every now and again I might throw something on the table and accidentally knocks him, and he just complains to me, and I'm just like, shut up. So between Alexa and R2-D2, I have arguments with machines all the time. I can argue with anything. So but yeah, the two have just made my life so much fun. So right, you've just given us the channel, the YouTube link for Hub Nuts. The R2-D2 is Spiro or Spiri or something like that. It's available on Amazon and many other places. I'll see if I can find a link. R2-D2 Sparrow. Sometimes they do deals on it. Sometimes they don't. So hopefully this will come out as a clickable link. But that's him on Amazon. If it's not a link, just tell me. He's round about £54. He's actually really good reference material as well for the full size. I had this other one, which is an alarm clock, and he's fairly good, but there's quite a lot of inaccuracies. And obviously, because he's got a great big LCD display panel in the middle of him, which, as you can tell, is not a very good timekeeper. He's only 25 minutes. He's doing quite well, actually. Personally, I think he's lost so much time, he's actually correct again and then lost. But this is actually shocking how realistic it is, how accurate it is. But this is a roughly painted version. And he really does. This is good, but he just shows him up so much. But love him, absolutely love him. And he just sits. You see from the lights, he just sit there, and the lights will change color, and
Yeah.
He just flashes away, and then you move him.
Can we do an absolute flashing? There's naughty.
And he's actually smartphone controlled as well, so you can do some funny things with him. I have done the demo on the stream. I may do it again sometime in the future, but and you can watch Star Wars with him. You can put Star Wars on telly, and he'll listen. He'll figure out where you are, and he'll actually react appropriately in various places. Like when the stormtroopers come walking through, he gets scared, and then when like Princess Leia comes on, he's like, "Oh!" And it's just absolutely brilliant. He just really knows, and it's any of the films that he'll react to. Because I actually one of the first. What I used to do, I'd call me stupid if you want. I'd go to bed, but I'd leave Star Wars playing, and I'd position him so he can sit there watching. And I'd be laying in bed, and I can just hear him reacting every now and again. And I'm like, "Behave! I'm trying to sleep." So.
Yeah.
So, Chris, you're streaming on Tuesdays, aren't you? With your Jaguar. And I got to be honest, guys, I knew Chris would do an okay job. He's not a bad builder. He surprised me a few times with the Route Master, but I thought he would struggle with that, Jag. But you've done so well. And those wheels, Chris, you've done so well on those. So, any tips? Patience, perhaps?
Yeah, that's one thing I would say, yeah.
Right. So, if you're not a patient person, do not attempt the Jaguar.
Bottle of Valium first, I think.
Bottle of Valium. No, but he did so well. And
brilliant. It is.
I remember watching him, and I remember him struggling, and I'm sitting there going, he's going to swear. He's going to swear. Any minute now, he's going to swear.
Okay,
Come on.
Yeah.
And you did really well. Really, really well, Chris. I can't stress how well you did. And myself and Dave Say were chatting afterwards, and we're like, yeah, we're really proud of him. So
yeah, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's
I'm impressed.
It's just the truth, Chris.
Yeah.
So
I like the build as well. That's good. I'm enjoying that.
Yeah. So you got 2 builds on the go. So you'll soon be bankrupt, won't you, Chris? Once you get the part. See, it's funny because I'm starting to get myself in a bit of trouble financially with them, and I'm like, okay, I've got to stop. And then obviously I got a couple where I paid for the whole lot at once, and then I'm like, oh, within about 6 months I'll have the Millennium Falcon and the Harley fully paid for. So, well, great, that'll save me about 70 quid a month. And then I've seen 2 more part works and I've signed up for them. Yeah. So even before the ones that are making me bankrupt have even finished. So instead of reducing my outgoings by 70 quid a month, I've increased them by about 80. So it's just how they take you, isn't it? So, yeah. So I'm now completely run out of questions. Yeah. I'm trying to get World of Mike involved a bit more. He's sitting there bored, and I'm feeling like I'm leaving him out, and he's going, oh, I hate the show because they don't bother with me anymore. Talk to us, Mike. So I can't think of any questions I haven't already asked you. What's the future? How are you getting on? And
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
When are we going to see Emma?
Soon. If I can persuade her.
Your channel has actually grown, hasn't it? It's
done quite well. I'll give you that. It's definitely come a long way.
I'm coming up to that elusive 500. I get the occasional subscription, and my channel grew a little bit, and it grew at a nice rate. I still remember. So obviously you probably know bus drivers, they're the biggest Mickey takers going. And I'd set my channel up. It'd been going for about 2 months, maybe. And one of the guys at work, he went, oh, yeah, you got a YouTube channel, have you? How many subscribers have you got? And I went, well, not that many. I've only got about 23. And he went, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, that's just took the wind out of your sails, isn't it? But what tends to happen, what I think is happening is it's gaining momentum, and then you're still gaining momentum, but it's slowing. I mean, so long as you are, I mean, obviously you're always going to lose subscribers, people, as your channel diverses.
Yeah.
Then obviously you'll lose a few subscribers, but you're always aiming to pick up new subscribers. And I can relate to that because there's channels out there that I thought, well, I've not really watched them for a while and I've unsubscribed, which is not really supporting thing to do, is it? But you know, there's always channels that, but the channels that I subscribe to goes the same way as the subscribers to my channels. You know, I lose some, I gain some, but on the whole, I gain. And some mornings I just look at my notifications. I'm like, geez, I'm never going to get through all them. So then you have to be a little bit selective, don't you? But the
I'm
3D
slowly
print,
gaining people.
yeah. And what about you, Chris? Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah.
Was it you or Adrian that had a really good viewership on their first couple? I think it was Adrian. He did really well. He got quite a lot of views on his first couple of videos, and we thought, yeah, that's really good. We were kind of expecting to stream to about 2 people or 3 people, and I was kind of, I'll never lie with my encouragement, but if I think it's going to need encouragement, I'll try and prepare it. And I was sitting there thinking, you know, what should I say? And I'm like, yeah, 2 isn't bad. 2 isn't bad for first. If you haven't got any subscribers and you're doing a live stream on a new subject, 2 or 3 is probably not too bad. But look at the Route Master show. What did we have the first week? 10, 15 watching, which it was a brand new, it was an established channel, but a brand new show.
Yeah.
And now we're hitting about 70 live, which is, you know, it's we've worked at it, and Chris and Adrian will probably hit that at some point in the future. So but they both got very good. Well, I think we've all got very good channels. You know, so long as we're doing the builds and we're noting what, you know, we're saying what we're seeing. Bit of a catchphrase, isn't it? Say what you see. Matthew Baum says, I rather like a girl on YouTube. Anyone familiar with Scottish murmurs? No, but you're welcome to put a link on if you want to share that. We're all about promoting. I am actually going to be trying a new venture with a young lady called Yasmin. Going to be more of a nothing to do with part works, but it's going to be sort of more of a chatty thing, but that should be fun, and we'll see how that one goes. I'm not going to advertise that one too much because it's such a completely different subject matter. I don't think it actually ties in very well. So, but who knows? And I feel really bad because she's actually streaming at the moment. Well, she started her stream at about the same time I did, and obviously I can't go and join in her stream because I'm doing my stream. But oh, it's yours, was it? Yeah, 38 views on his first show, which I thought was absolutely amazing. Really, really impressed with that. So just shows how good you are, Adrian. So, but I don't think there's any bad part work builders out there, are there?
No, you know.
We all have our own unique way of doing things.
Exactly. You might. I mean, even if you don't like the way a part work builder does it, you still don't regard them as a bad. You know, you can appreciate. I don't enjoy that way, but it's a good channel. I'm sure there's people say that about me and you guys. Well, I just don't like the way they do it, but it's all right of a channel.
Yeah.
Right. So, does anybody have anything to add? Because I'm going to be thinking about winding the stream down now. I haven't got a particularly early morning tomorrow, but I have got to get ready to. Got to run an empty minibus to Pontypool We have a union branch meeting tomorrow, and I tried to establish myself as somebody who listens, and a lot of people were complaining they couldn't get to Pontypool. So quick phone call to the manager, can we nick a minibus on Monday? She went, yep, no problems. So we laid a minibus on, and now drivers are moaning about that. So, but I don't think I'm a proper bus driver because I don't moan enough. I need to moan 23 and a half hours a day to be a proper bus driver. What are your bus drivers like where you live, Mike? Are they all moaners?
Possibly, yeah. They're half and half.
What are they like if you give them a £20 note? I nearly, well, someone said that they got on my bus once and gave me a £20 note, and I think they did it on purpose. And I just went, not a problem, and I just handed them all their change, and they went, oh, I was expecting you to have a go at me. And I said, look, I said, it's ever so simple. If I've got the change, you can have it. If I start the day with a £10 float, you're my first customer with a £20 note for £2 fare. It's obvious you ain't going to get your change, are you? But I said, when I've been doing like a really busy run and I've got about 200 quid's worth of takens, and if I haven't got the money, then you're going to get it in coins. And let's face it, you're doing me a favor because notes weigh less than coins, so it's less weight for me to carry. So apparently that's not the bus driver way, and I'm not moody enough, and I'm getting grumpy this last couple of weeks, but I'm not there yet. I'm not fully qualified in the grump department. So I'm far too happy apparently. So your drivers must be grumpy, Fleetwood, because you live near Blackpool, don't you?
Not all of them. Some are okay. The tram drivers are better than the bus drivers, if you know what I mean. Right. So, but a lot of people use the Blackpool app now for the bus.
Right.
You can do mobile ticketing, you know what I mean? So,
what do you think of that? I'm not sure. I like the concept that the drivers, we're getting to a point where we're handling cash less, which means we can get on more with focusing on driving, which in that sense, that's got to be a positive. But it's not the old proper bus, the interaction. Because one of the things I hate is all of these monthlies and returns or day tickets, and you got the concession passes that go on. Nobody needs to speak to the driver anymore.
Yeah.
And you get so many people, the kids get on with their headphones on, and I've given up trying to talk to them because they can't hear you. And you are dealing with customers, and you can theoretically go an entire day without speaking to anybody.
Yeah.
And you see hundreds of people, yet it's the loneliest job I've ever done.
Yeah.
And is that right? What do you think? What's your views, Mike?
About the same.
Yeah. I mean, do you pay cash for your bus fares, or do you have a pass?
Well, I normally get the train, but I normally pay if I get on the bus.
Right.
Yeah.
So you are forced to interact with the driver then, even if it's, can I have a single to the high street? Yeah, but that's fine. You've now got interaction, and it gives the driver an opportunity to say. I mean, I take the mickey out of my customers, and if they get on with a shop, and I'll interrogate their shop, and then I'll see what they've been buying. And one of my favourites, I had someone got on with a load of cardboard. And I said, oh, are you off to a board meeting? And, if I can get a smile out of them. But, yeah, Dave, that's the thing. It's nice when people... I mean, I don't like London buses because they've got that door at the back. And you don't pass the driver and say thank you anymore. So I just feel I got no option. I've just got to shake down the bus. Cheers, drive. Because otherwise... I measure my driving by the thank yous. If I can get 75% of people to say thank you, I've done all right. And sometimes Sorry, go on, please.
I think a lot of our bus drivers get it in the neck because we don't do return tickets in Blackpool.
Right.
You can either get single, which they have so many meters is so much, and then the maximum single is £2.70. So you could go from Lytham St Anne's to Fleetwood, which is about 11 miles, for £2.70 single. But if you want to, we have to buy a day card, which is £5.60 now. But that's 24 hours. So if you get on at 9 o'clock in the morning, it runs out at 9 o'clock in the morning the next morning.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around with the apps, and it's confusing as hell. Although Cardiff Bus have got it sussed. They don't publish a time for expiry. They publish how many hours and minutes is left to expire. Because we'll quite often. There's obviously a trick. I mean, I don't drive Cardiff buses, but we've got one service where the Cardiff app is valid on our service. And I notice a lot of people, they hesitate getting on. They're playing with their phone. They hesitate getting on. They show you their phone and they've got 23 hours and 59 minutes left on their ticket. So there's obviously a trick, obviously combining with other, but yeah, I do like the system of when we used to have printed tickets. We've got one ticket for the students, and it gives you unlimited travel for an hour and a half, and it just covers the students that have to get more than one bus home.
We have an hour ticket, which is £3.
Yeah,
so you can travel on bus and trams. For £3 for an hour.
Yeah,
or the day ticket. And Blackpool used to have a thing. They used to. It got removed last year. When you had your day ticket, when it ran out, you must get off the bus.
really?
A lot of people used to wait till like 10 seconds to go on their bus pass, jump on, and then travel to wherever.
Really? I'm sorry, that's harsh.
But now they've removed it, and you can get on with 1 second to go and travel wherever you want to go.
So there's obviously some kind of scanning going on then.
Yeah, what happens is we get a number, 4-digit code number comes up on the ticket, and two balls move back and forth like that. Underneath it has the time it was purchased, then it has underneath the time it's due to run out.
Right.
It is in big, huge red letters, numbers when it starts to, run out, if you know what I mean. And you do get warnings on your phone. You have 5 minutes, you have 2 minutes, you have 1 minute. You have 30 seconds. You know what I mean? So,
one of the funny things we have, especially with this student ticket, what the students do is they buy this ticket, they come into town, they go to McDonald's, and then right close to the hour and a half, they then jump on the bus. Now, what happens if the bus runs late, their ticket's no longer valid, right? Then that causes an argument because they're claiming if the bus had been on time, they'd have got on it. And then our argument is, well, if you'd gone straight home like you were supposed to, your ticket would be valid. But we have far too many. I think I have a good level of common sense, but I think we have not enough people who have common sense. And too many situations where it needs to apply. And I'll give you a really good real life example. A blind or allegedly blind man gets on the bus.
Yeah, look me.
He hasn't got his concession pass. And he looks like he could be blind, i.e. he has dark glasses on. And the driver doesn't allow him travel for free. What are your thoughts at this point?
grey area, isn't it?
Right. So the driver, in this particular case, the driver has refused him free travel. But now he's got the money out, and now he's 20 pence short. Yeah. Now, with regards to the pass, I have refused an old lady travel for free without a pass. And I've had the whole bus having a go at me saying, well, it's obvious she's a pensioner. And my response to that was, yes, but it's not obvious she's a pensioner from Wales. We are very close to the English border. And I think this is absolutely stupid, but the English passes are not valid in Wales and vice versa.
Yeah.
And
We
the
get
Scottish
this
passes,
with Blackpool. The Blackpool, the Lancashire County Council bus pass is valid on buses and trams 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If you got the English bus pass,
yeah.
there is restrictions that you can use it on the bus, but you can't use it on the tram. But you can use
Right.
it on the tram during certain times. During the illumination time, you're not allowed to use it at all.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it's getting confusing. You get all these people come on with a bus pass and they're like saying, sorry, you got paid. No, I've got a bus pass.
Yeah. So, you know, the way I would deal with that is I would try and use my pass, but I'd have money ready. But I ain't got a clue if I can get on. Well, here's my pass. No, can't get on. Okay, fine, I'll pay. But yeah, we have so many. But I mean, I personally, I play a lot by attitude. I had 3 kids get on with attitude yesterday. They were claiming to be under 15 and under 16, and I said, no, I know you're not. They'd already bought a child day ticket, and they're giving, well, we're 15. I'm like, no, you're not, because you're at football college. You're at the football academy. And the football academy is the equivalent of a sixth form. And then with luck, you will qualify from that academy and you will become professional footballers with a real professional football team. So, but you've already bought a child ticket. So what do I do? Yeah. So normally what I do is I fiddle things a bit. And what I do is I sell them an adult ticket for the difference in the price between the child and the adult. So like if the child ticket was £2 and the adult was £3, I'd sell them an adult ticket for £3, for £1, and then take the child ticket off them, and they haven't won then. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the old example I give is girl gets on my school bus just about to cry, and she says, I've lost my pass. My response to that is sit down, make sure you make arrangements to get home, because you may not be on my bus getting home. The very next bus stop, kid gets on, I ain't got a pass and I ain't got any money. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to have to walk. Well, I got no money, yet you're carrying a packet of crisps and a Costa. So if you got the money for a coffee, you got money for the bus fare. And then he chucks like £5 in, and he goes, oh, you took my bus money off me, my dinner money. And that kind of made me feel happy. I know it shouldn't. But see, when I took kids' dinner money off them when I was a kid, I was a bully. But now I do it as a bus driver, and it's called doing my job properly. So, no, I'm not that evil, really. But it just, yeah, a lot of it's based on attitude. So, and I just love the people that can't tell the difference between not giving you the answer you want to hear and being rude. You know, oh, drive, I got no money. Can you let me on for free? I'm sorry, I can't do that. Oh, you're so rude.
Yeah.
We had one in Blackpool, what was it, a few weeks ago, when we was coming back from the fireworks.
Yeah.
He goes, well, can I have a return to can I have a single to Cleveland's? And they said, oh, it's £2.20. And he pulled out a £50 note and said, here, to the tram driver. And tram conductor said, what's that, mad? You know what I mean? I ain't expecting that. Do you know what I mean? He goes, well, I've got no other money. And she said, well, get off at the next stop, go and buy yourself something, and then come back on the next tram. I'm not, you know, they're quite strict, because there's a lot of forged notes going around, especially the Scottish notes at the moment. You know, they're not cracking down on them at all. If you know
most companies don't accept £50 notes anyway, because there's not many in circulation, and most of those are forged.
He just thought it was funny, and the tram conductor was just, their face was pan face. You know, it's like,
Yeah,
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 right,
yeah.
yeah.
But there's a lot. I mean, we're in the we're at the beginning. You're right there, Mike.
I'm good.
Yeah. The school kids. This is all very new for them, getting the school bus home and all the tricks they're trying. They've thought so hard to get it to try these tricks. And you're like, yeah, we saw those tricks last year and the year before and the year before that. In fact, if you go back 30 years, we were trying those same tricks ourselves, but you've only just come up with it. You know, and it's yeah, all sorts they try. One bus I did last week. The new kids. I mean, this is one school service I get on really well with. They had a spot of bother on the bus once, and I really did have their back. And they also caused some trouble, and I dealt with it nicely. So we've always got on well. And the kids that have just started that high school were sort of being a bit mischievous on the bus. And then you saw the older kids go up to him and grab him and go, behave. We like this bus driver. So, but yeah, most of the new kids will try it on, and it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, mate. I've seen all those tricks before.
I think the only people who try it on the Blackpool trams are the drunks.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we had one coming back from the illuminations, and he was saying to the driver, "Can I have a ticket?" Before he even said the word ticket, he was redecorating the back end of the tram. You've never seen so many people move from one end of the tram to the other end before. It was just absolute carnage up the other end of the tram, and it was, all right. They're the worst ones on there, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, the trouble with the well, not the trouble, but it's we've got a lot of friendly drunk men. You know, they go out on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. They go to the club, and then they get the last bus home, and they just want to be nice and friendly, and you can't knock them for that. But the way they like to be friendly is they like to lean into the cab and breathe all over you.
Yeah.
God,
and it's like, I don't want to have a moan at you because you're being really friendly, but at the moment I really can't breathe.
Enough.
Yeah. So and sometimes I'll just wind them up. I had one guy who was so drunk and he just leant over and he just went, I want to leave you all my money when I die, and just got off.
I've got a nip off, Penny, because I've got to go make a phone call. So
I'm actually going to end the stream, Fleetwood, because I have been going on a while, and I think Mike is getting completely bored now. I have caught him yawning.
I'm not bored.
He doesn't realise I've caught him yawning a few times because
I was going to say, he looks like he needs his duvet and pillows.
Yeah. Oh, you made his eyes go big then. Bless him, Mike. And what about you, Chris? You're nice and quiet there.
No, I'm all right. Just listening, I am.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, I hope everyone's had a good time. I certainly have. I hope you can all tune in next week because I know this is the only secret I've kept. You know I'm crap at telling secrets, but I'm keeping this secret. It's going to be so brilliant because I have got a most wonderful surprise for you all. Horlicks probably won't be with us. I'm not expecting Horlicks to be back, which is a real shame because he will miss out in the surprise. But it's going to be brilliant. So we are officially starting the tractor next week. And the way that it's going to go ahead is that we will be talking all about the tractor. If you guys want to sort of have a little bit of a look, follow the links. We're going to have a question and answer session, and we'll try and get as many questions answered as we can. Then we will probably, we're scheduled to go into a break the following week. Oh, that's a real shame, Dave. Listen, if you want to contact me, Dave, if there's anything you want to know, I will raise them on the show. and then obviously you can rewatch it later on. So yeah, the following week would be scheduled to be a week off because it's my week of lates. But I am on holiday, but I might try and pick up a little bit of Orrery here and there. And then the following week, we officially start building, and that's where I'm getting really, really excited.
I'm sure that does.
Now, I've forgotten to go through all of the electronic parts with everybody. So if there is anybody who wants to build this and wants to follow along, with regards to the electronics, you ideally want to be about 4 weeks ahead, because when you order from Banggood, it can take up to 20 days. And I've been testing it. They are actually sending them out and you're receiving them slightly quicker than their quote. I'm getting mine in about 3 to 3.5 weeks. I have problems with a particular courier in my area. So the bulky items, if they come with this particular courier, there's a problem. But obviously that's not everyone's couriers are the same as mine. The 3D printed parts, obviously you would print those off the week before. So when we actually build it, we'll go through all of the parts. Obviously, if you can't keep up because of deliveries or whatever, that's fine. But one option I found, which seems to be working very well for me, and I've started doing this because of the courier problems I've had, for about, on average, about £1.30 an order extra, you can upgrade the order to tracked. But it also changes the delivery time from up to 28 days to up to 9 days. What it means is that you can actually track the order. So if an unnamed courier company called Yodel should not bother with the attempt and put because what they do with me is they put it down as couldn't gain access and don't leave a card. So I don't know they've come. And I know it's horse poo because I live on a main road, 29 doors from the city centre. Well, you guys hear the fire engines and the police cars and the motorbikes, don't you? Sometimes. That's how busy my street is. It's a main street. But what I can do is I can go onto the order and I can look at the tracking, and then if it comes up as delivery attempted, it shows up. And if I've got no card, I can then contact Yodel or whoever it might be and say, look, I've had this delivery, and then we can then make arrangements. But when I don't find out I've had delivery until after the third attempt, and I've got to go all the way to Cardiff to go and pick it up, I get a little bit upset and I end up taking it out on the poor woman who works in Cardiff. So anyway, I've waffled now. So
I'll see you Wednesday, Penny.
Yeah, you take care, Fleetwood. Love you and see you later.
Take care, all.
Bye. So obviously there'll be parts to order, and I think we'll probably get back in the swing of things. Is there anybody actually thinking about building along? I know you would, Chris, if you had a printer, wouldn't you?
Definitely.
We haven't sorted out for you yet. So, Mike, have we tempted you to think about getting a 3D printer?
I want one. I really want one. And I wish that Eagle Moss would come out again.
No, forget Eagle Moss. Bang.
Really? Right?
Yeah, honestly, right. You can't see from here, but
I definitely want one. Absolutely.
Can you see in the background? There's two printers.
Yeah.
They're 160 quid each.
Right.
To buy outright.
160 quid.
Yeah, and they're brilliant. Let me show you. This is a very quick print I made the other day.
Okay.
On my £160 printer. It's a battery organizer.
Oh, wow.
And you put the batteries in the top and they dispense at the bottom, and when you pull it out, the next one's waiting for you, and a lot of my tractor parts have been printed on. In fact, all of my tractor parts have been printed on that 160 pound printer. The only thing I will say about it is there's a bit of a learning curve. I've had a lot of help, especially from Horlicks, when I bought my first printer. And if he's still watching, Steve Graham has given me a lot of help on the Creality. Now, of the 3 Crealities I've got, one is currently not working and I can't figure out what's wrong with it. One is running absolutely beautifully.
Yeah.
And the latest one that we bought, I think it's been set up wrong. I think there's screws and bolts.
Can you not like uninstall it and reinstall it?
Pardon?
Can you not reinstall it, like uninstall it and then?
No, it's you don't install anything. You just build it.
Oh, right, okay.
So, but obviously you've got the framework, and then you've got wheels and things, and you've got, like, if the wheels don't quite line up properly, they should do as standard. But obviously over time things will move, and you can just adjust the nuts so that they just move in or out a little bit. So you're testing it. You roll it up and down, and you're just gently feeling the wheels to make sure they're making contact. I think a lot of these bits have been screwed on a little bit too tight, and you have to figure out which ones to loosen and where. And the bed was loose. It was rocking side to side. So I tightened them up a bit. And then I'm noticing that luckily I've got another printer, so I can do, if I move the print bed on both of them, I can feel how tight they are. And I think maybe I've over tightened it, so I've got to loosen it a bit. But my next door neighbor is helping me with it. I'm trying to teach him about 3D printers, so I've got him to build it. And I'm saying to him, I'm really sorry that the first one you've built is a bit of a bod's job. And he's gone, no. He goes, I'm loving it because there's problems for me to try and solve. And I'm like, all right, fair enough, if that's what you think. But we can. I mean, I'll show you a couple of prints that I did. These are a couple of little mods that we've done. Because what we're doing is we're making some little mods for it, but we're actually doing them all in different colors, so that to identify the printers, we're going to be identifying it by color. So I've got here some black bits and some purple bits, and I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I've done the black parts have been printed on the good printer, and the purple ones were done on the not so good printer. So don't know how well you can see. The purple is, I mean, it's still capable of doing a good print, but can you see, right, there's a gap there?
Yeah.
Whereas that gap isn't there on this one. Now, this is a perfectly serviceable part. There's nothing wrong with it. It will work fine. This is another part that we've done, and there's very little wrong with it. It's there's a little tiny gap, but it's perfectly serviceable, but it's not as good as the good printer. So, and basically what I've done all the purple prints on the, this is a cable that we've done. And what this does is it keeps the cables nice and neat, and it goes onto the print bed like that. So the cables will go through there, so that as it rocks backwards and forwards with the print heads, it stops the cables from snagging. But look at the movement. It moves fine, but you can see that there's some links are not quite that good. Now we've done a lot of work on this, and we've sanded a lot of them down, and it's moving quite well. But this black one, we've done no sanding or anything, and you can see instantly the movement is so much better. and that's the printer that it's been done on. So that's what I mean by learning curve. If you ended up with the printer as your very first printer, if this is that you ended up with the one that produced this quality, you're going to think that's the best prints you can get. But if this is your first one, and then this is your second one, you're then going to go, right, well, I need to make it better. So but to produce that first print when you haven't got a clue what you're doing, a really good example is when you level the bed, basically use a piece of paper, and what you do is you position the needle with just the right gap that you can get a piece of paper there's a bit of resistance. Now, I learned to do that by feel, and there's a point where when it's way too close, you can't pull the paper out because it's gripping on the paper so much. That's too close. The other extreme is the nozzle's up so high that the paper doesn't make contact with the nozzle at all. That's obviously too high. But then you get to a point where it's only just touching, and you can feel there's a slight bit of resistance. So then you get to the point where you think, well, I'll just move it down ever so slightly, so it's still got a little bit of grip, but with free movement. And that's one of those things that you maybe can't explain to somebody, especially if you're not actually there. And it's what I've ended up doing is, I remember saying this with Horlicks as well, you need to get a bit of grip. So you get a bit, and it doesn't work. So then you do it again, but slightly lower. And then you figure out, oh, like, okay, so it's like, that one worked. So then you want to start replicating that. And then you move into like live leveling. And I personally prefer to what they call live leveling. So as the printer prints a line on the print bed, you actually gently rub the line. If you can't remove it from the print bed with a gentle rub, you know it's on. If it hasn't stuck properly, then you'll just gently touch it and it'll fall off. So you know the nozzle's too high because it's not printed it close enough to the bed. But likewise, sometimes it might be too close and it squashes the line in so much you can't actually get it off the print bed. So this is what I mean. And I've probably just scared you off now of 3D printing, haven't I? But you would have had this for the past.
I think it's a challenge, and I'll definitely be up to doing it, you know.
Yeah. But YouTube is your best friend with stuff like that anyway. Yeah. So an awful lot of YouTubing I've done on this subject. And I'm always watching new stuff as well. I'm at the moment I'm learning about a process called ironing, and I'll show you. Right, which is the top, which is the bottom. Right, so I don't know if you can see it. You probably won't see it. No, you can't see it. Right, so basically what happens is it prints the base. And it might do, say, 3 layers, and it'll do that absolutely solid. Then it prints lots of infill, and I use a crisscross infill. And then when it gets to the top, the last 3 or 5 layers, it then fills it all in. So then it does the last layer and it's finished. And what you actually see on the top layer is... trying to find you something. This might do it. Right. I don't know if you can see it, but no. Basically, the last layer, you actually can see the nozzle marks. Because where it's filling it in, you can actually see the lines. And what a lot of people do is they might just file it down and make it nice and smooth. And there's a process I've just come across called ironing. And what it does is it repeats the last layer, but it only ejects about 10% of the filament it did on the last layer. So what it's actually doing is it's remelting that last layer, and just with a little bit of filament, and what it does, it gives a really smooth, almost mirror-like. It's a bit like if you had an iron. If you got an iron and you gently went over the top, put a bit of molten plastic in and went over with an iron, that's essentially what it's doing.
Yeah.
So there's all these new advanced techniques. There's another one called fuzzy sides or something. And say you were doing, I don't know, say your knife handle broke, and you designed a new handle for your knife, and you printed it off, and obviously it'll print it, and it'll be a smooth handle. What fuzzy skin, I think it's called. What it actually does, it does like these random blips on the edge. So what you actually get is a rough handle. So it's grippier. And of course, if you then did that with, say, a rubbery texture, you could have a nice handle or something. But these are all things I can't really go into because I don't know much about it. It's all stuff I'm learning. So anyway, look, we've just waffled for the last half an hour or so, haven't we? So listen, I'm gonna wind up the show now. I really am gonna wind up the show now. So I'm gonna say goodbye. But first of all, I'm going to allow Chris Davies to say goodbye.
Good night, all, and I will see you on my Tuesday night.
Lovely. And I will let World of Mike say goodbye. When are you streaming next, Mike?
I don't know. I took a little bit of a break from it at the moment, but I will be bringing it back. I'll bring it back very soon. Yeah. Okay.
Well, thanks ever so much for coming on the show, both of you.
No worries.
Hope to see you on again one day.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care.
That's the studios.
Sorry, guys. I've done it again. I hit the wrong button. Right. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.